I don't want to like convey this message that you have to be this workaholic or this work fiend or whatever it is. You can eat an elephant over 20 years, man, and it'd be fine. But what you do have to do is work with people that work like you.
Welcome to the Top Tier Podcast, where we take you to new heights in the world of real estate, capital raising, and business entrepreneurship. Meet your hosts, Daniela and Landon, industry experts passionate about success. Join them on the Top Tier Podcast as they share real-world experiences, practical solutions, and strategies to overcome business and real estate challenges. From expert interviews to actionable advice, they aim to inspire and empower you. Subscribe now to never miss an episode.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Top Tier Podcast with Daniela and Landon. Today, we're going to do a time capsule episode, and we're going to talk all about where Landon and I started kind of one short year ago and everything that's happened since and everything that we are working on for 2025. We are thrilled to share all this with you because I'm sure Landon can agree that it's felt like pushing multiple boulders up a hill sometimes at the same time.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle, right? It's not easy. This isn't easy, this thing we decided to do.
No, it's definitely not. And, I was just chatting last night. I went to a real estate meetup hosted by one of your girls on your team, Evita Miller. And we were having a conversation because she asked me the question too of, it seems like things are just ramping up and taking off for you right now. And it's funny how quickly people, not that she made this assumption, but how quickly people go, I felt like your success just went like this. And I go, girl, like if you would have hung around for the past year, day in, day out, woke up at those alarms that I set and all those little things, you would have felt like
tired,
it was
new baby,
gosh.
like yeah. Brutal.
Like we have our daughter turns 2 here in 9 days. And then we have about to be 8-month-old. So like in the past 2 years, I've now developed a brand new identity in terms of as a father and a role and all the responsibilities associated with that. It makes me like go, oh my gosh, if I didn't have kids pre-kid, what was I doing with my life? I had all this free time.
Imagine.
But I wouldn't change it for the world. But like, husband, father, real estate investor, engineer, all these different things that I'm doing. And you too, like it's so impressive. I was thinking about you yesterday in the past few days about, you made a post about down at the planning commission and you own the TC Collective and you are a licensed commercial broker and you're a new mother and a wife and you have like all of these things too. And it's cool to coexist in the space that we do, living almost like in an echo chamber of lives, yin yang across the country a little bit from each other, to experiencing and enduring the things that we are alongside each other. So knowing that we can get through it. And it's just cool to see, so I guess for you, let's reflect back. And I love this. I'm looking forward to this episode because a lot of people I meet have this frame, this horizon, this ideological version of themselves that they look at in the future and go, I want to be that person, or I want to aspire to have these goals, dreams, ambitions, and always live in what I would call the gap because they're a current version of themselves and they're always trying to become this next version. And that never changes. And I'll allude to that later. But what's cool is like this episode is going to allow us to reflect back on the gains that we've had over the past 2 years, 90 days, even 90 days we'll talk on, and use that as almost like a springboard, a rubber band to propel us into the future to achieve and overcome the gaps that are in front of us. And so I guess for you, the past year, if you were to sum it up, which is hard to do, but how would you describe the past year in your growth and in your journey?
Grit. There has been nothing sexy about how hard I've had to work and how many pieces I've had to split myself into to make the needle move forward in my life, to be a mom, to be a wife, to be a great TC, to be a business owner, to be all of these things that I'm doing. Some of them for the first time in my life, right? I
Right.
mean, you too, Landon. Like, I remember when we first started working together, I was at this point where last year I was going, I don't have enough time. What do I do to create that time? And I had spent months previously calling into Zooms, listening to other people go on and on and on and on and on. Right. And I remember I brought this up to you before, and I brought it up on this podcast before. A young kid, I said to him, how do you have the time to do this? He was not married. He had no kids. So there's that, right? Like, no freaking reference point. And he goes, you get up earlier and you just do it. But he said it to me in this way where it, like, I just was having a day, right? And I start working with you, Landon, and you tell me you're waking up at 3:30 in the morning, and I know you are because I'm getting texts from you at 4. And then I start waking up earlier, right? And I've been like Caitlin. I wake up at 7 in the morning, and it's hard, right? So I had to start doing it 15 minutes before, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes before. And by the time you and I really started humming, I had bought my first investment property. I had started a brand new full-time job. I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning and TCing stuff so that the East Coast would be teed up by 8 a.m. And I was doing stuff, my phone, right? Like, you could hear me calling you on my lunch break. I'd step out of my cubicle to get back to 911 issues. I'd go home, pick up the kids, cook dinner, TC, try to show my husband some attention. You know, I mean, like, he's been on the back burner this whole time, poor guy. I'm so glad he's still here. But like, it has been painstaking.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is the gap no longer exists for me because I started writing things down in my phone like you do, right? And goals. And then the other day, I'm going back through all my notes from late last year and going, oh, I did that. I did that. I did that. I did that. Oh, I did that. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. That actually got done, you know? And I mean, this idea that I don't have any time, I'm sick, I'm tired. I have never taken a day off because I'm sick or tired, ever. And
Mm.
it's like, we are wired differently. Not everyone is wired like us, but that doesn't mean that you can't still accomplish all the, like, you can't still close the gap. You know, for you, I mean, so many things have happened in the last year for you. What would be your highlight keywords to pull out, from the last year?
Yeah. Gosh, I honestly haven't put much thought to it. And I was just thinking as you were speaking there, a couple of things to respond to is there's almost like an addiction in my world to that's so closely related to chaos of at all times in
Mm,
every aspect of things at all times of seeking chaos, finding these things that disrupt mediocrity, disrupt just simplicity and whatnot, and relying upon my skill sets of just the basic woo woo stuff, consistency, discipline, and all those things that no matter the chaos, no matter the struggles, no matter the problems, that relying upon those baseline foundational characteristics will get me through it.
mm-hmm.
Um, because, like you, very similarly, like I work full time as a mechanical engineer still, a lead mechanical for Amazon grocery design, and I have to carve out time in my lunch hours. I have to carve out time after work and before, which is why I wake up so ridiculously early. And it's now wired in me and ingrained in me. And so I would say over the past year, like you said, everything that I've achieved and gotten to this point in not only my role and my identity, I had envisioned a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And I also told myself that if I achieved those things, that would make me happy. What's
Okay,
funny is
that's
I sit
interesting.
here and I am beyond blessed, beyond grateful, and I lead every day with gratitude by genuinely, I write every single morning my gratitude practice. And that's what helps me still live in the gain mindset versus the gap mindset. But I sit here and go, now my goals, my horizon, my ambitions have now evolved and grown and flown to a different level. And it happens for everyone, every entrepreneur. But the way I interpret it is that I have now un, unfathomable confidence that we will achieve the gain to achieve those goals that are set in front of us because of the proof of concept we have behind us. And
That's a
so I
good
sit
one.
here in full gratitude of everything that we've done and endured and what was required, yeah, it was harder than we thought it was going to be. It cost more money and it took more time, but I wouldn't want it any other way, because if it was easier and cost less money, there'd be way more people sitting in this section of the concert. And I don't want that many people. I want to be amongst the people who are willing to endure the shit and endure the failures. And they can't, like, we're dealing with stuff right now behind the scenes in our deals that we're in escrow for that are problems that are new to us. We have to find new title companies. We have to reinstate loans. We have to pay off down payment. We have to all these different things. And we're underwriting $3 million self-storage facilities and things that I've never done before. And so, as it's like, those problems just shift and evolve and grow. They don't just go away. And so for
Yes.
me, it was a monumental year of solidifying the competencies that I've been educating on, but moreover, like, solidifying confidence that the current version of myself is enough and is okay. And all of the things that we've accomplished is simply proof of concept that we're going to achieve the things in the future, no matter what ambitious things that we desire to do. And what's cool is that in this past year, I found someone in you, in that we got to work together to determine that we want to work more together and go on and achieve bigger and better things systematically, that we've now learned our skill sets, our strengths, our weaknesses, that we love, and we jive together on certain things that is going to allow us the success that we desire in the aspects of our investments. And so those things are so cool too, is that I found people that I align with so wholeheartedly that we've never met in person as
I
well too,
know.
which is
I
so
know.
freaking cool.
It's so crazy.
So crazy.
That has been a turning point for me this year. I thought I was gonna, I started TCing to mitigate my own risk, right? So that I could transact my own creative deals and not feel scared and fear and not hold myself back. But what it turned into was me meeting my partners, my future partners, that I would have never considered even taking a partner on for a thing when I first started TCing, right? I was like educated, and my family just never did that throughout the businesses we've owned. We've never brought in partners. And so I've always been really hesitant about that. And I have found myself
Same.
being lassoed by people. Like Rinda came to me and was like, "We're doing this. You're going to be my partner." And Heather came and was like, "We're going to do this now. You're going to do this now." And you came and were like, "You and Chris, we're going to do this now." And the whole time, it's not as if I didn't feel the confidence to do those things. It was more of, I need to take it slow, and just, I can only handle so much at one time, and I have to learn all the things before I do the thing. And I wouldn't say that I've wasted a bunch of time failing. I've definitely, like, the whole fail forward thing, I was always really against that, and I think within reason, it's really important. You have to get burned. You got to get burned hard, right? To be able to have the fortitude to pivot. And that's where the proof of concept comes in. The proof of concept is that we didn't just sit there talking about TCing your files. You went, you got the deals, I TC'd the files. Shit blew up regularly. Oh my God, Landon, my first 10 files with you were a nightmare. And absolutely, like, you put me through some shit, bro. Like, it was just brutal
You're
files
welcome.
stuff. And you know what? I had people reaching out to me in our mentorship going, "How are you learning all these things?" And I'm like, "Because things are going wrong and I'm finding the answers. That's why." Like, I didn't go, "Oh, I'm afraid of that." I went, "Okay, this is what we got today. I woke up. This is on my plate. Thank God for that opportunity. Let's figure it out. Let's
Yeah.
close it. Let's make money." And so the proof of concept is instrumental in people's ability to be able to move forward, in our ability to be able to go, "Great, we're going to buy a $3 million self-storage facility. No problem. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be fine."
Right.
And just know that no matter what, because of how many times we have been burned, that we will figure it out. And, as a leader in your space and as a leader in my space, I don't know about you, but I'm constantly being approached by people that are asking me what they should do. How do I do this? How do I do this? And I see you doing this. And I see that you just, all this success. And being a fractional COO in others' businesses, I also am just, I have such an undercover view of things. And a lot of people, not necessarily my fractional COO clients, but operations, operations in general, there's nothing sexy about day-to-day operations of a business. You know this from your wholesaling thing. The sexy part is leading people, coaching people, encouraging people. But me having to find the cheapest signing platform that can attend to all my needs, me having to fix QuickBooks because it took a shit on me and I can't bill anybody that day, like all of these things, it sucks. And no one wants to do that part. They just want to do this part. And you don't get to do both. What I mean is you don't get to do one without the other. You have to do both. And it doesn't matter if you're wired like Landon and I or you're not. You can eat an elephant bite by bite, but you got to get your hands dirty. And that is the hardest thing I have with new folks. It's like, do you want to scrape your knees or not? Because if you don't, that's okay. But this is not going to be for you.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the whole Hormozy ideology: is everyone wants the view, no one wants to climb, and
Oh,
it's
all
so
day.
freaking true. Is that it is so much harder than you think. There are so many failures along the way that are required for you to succeed, and it's so beautiful to have those moments. But appreciating the failures along the way is what's getting us the opportunities and preparing us for the bigger things. And I share this with everyone that I meet at meetups and I do business consulting meetings with, and all these things. Is the baseline is that you got to get in and start doing the thing. And there is no shortcut of a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 mentorship, all these different things that you can get into. Sure, those are great, and those are going to help you move along quicker. Those are quote unquote shortcuts, but
Yes.
you still have to put in the work. You still have to, no matter what it is, whether it's TC, whether it's COO, whether it's lending, whether it's dispositions, whether it's wholesaling, whether it's Airbnb, like no matter what it is, like there's, and that's just it, is for me what I've rested upon. And I've always been this way, but now I've found my vehicle of passion, what fuels me every single day. This year has been that for sure, is that I know my journey and what I'm going to do, and which is so exciting and enlightening and freeing and all the things. But it still always comes back to the same things. I wake up at the same time every morning. I
Mm-hmm.
have the same morning routines with my workouts, getting it out of the way before I'm home for like 35, 45 minutes before anyone wakes up. So I'm already there at the gym. I did my thing for 2 hours. I did my cold plunge. I did my woo woo stuff. And then I come back here and I get to fire up and rip out some highly focused tasks for the next hour, really, before I go out and get to have a little morning with the family, before I start doing Zoom meetings and podcasts and various things. And having that consistency is so amazing. The foundation is set. And now anything beyond those things, a part of my day, is just a downhill slide. I've already done all the hard things, going to the gym and gotten it out of the way and gotten all my day structured. I'm already blocking my time and whatnot. And so yeah. And so from a time capsule standpoint, as we sit here right now, I think we're in escrow. And I use the word I think that's critical here, is that I think we're in escrow for 10 or 11 homes right now. I want to say some
Mm-hmm.
cash, some creative. Um, and I say I think because I don't know. In
How
that,
beautiful is that?
how beautiful is that? I never made a
It's so
single phone
good.
call for any of those deals. I never wrote up offers. Never wrote up contracts. I never wrote up anything. And that's a testament to 1 year, literally 1 year ago, as we sit here, I was the one ripping the phone calls, cold calls, closing calls, structuring the deals, writing the purchase contracts. I didn't even have templates in my e-signature software set up yet or any of that kind of stuff. And in just 12 months, I'm now at a point that I'm theoretically removed from my entire wholesale operation that's doing six figures and just booming. And so from that standpoint, that's a pretty cool thing to like look back on. And so the question then is, was all the shit worth where you're at right now? And undoubtedly it's yes, all day
That's not
long.
even a question
Not even a
because we've
question.
been through it. You know what I mean? We've been through it. And the thing is we're not really on the other side. We're on the
No.
other side of this one lane. We've been working on like pace cars in the entire year. And that's been the coolest part is when you and I first started, it was you and it was I. And we were both doing every freaking thing.
Yep.
Every freaking phone call blows up, every this, every that. And slowly bringing in a partner, slowly building a team, slowly getting systems and processes. Oh, great. We can afford a CRM now. Cool.
Yeah.
Like
So
slowly
true.
bringing this. And now for the first time in my life, I mean, in this journey in the last year, your wife has come on board, and this has been the first time that I'm not responding to emails,
Mm.
and I'm going, whoa, this is wild. And I'm so lucky because she was the right hire at the right time. It was just divine intervention without a doubt. But more importantly, you know, it just you organically reach these places, but you have to make the choice to. You have to make the choice. I'm going to do this. And then you do it.
Yep.
And like it is a beautiful thing to not be a part of the emails and the day-to-day grind and this and that and be working on higher level stuff. And now we're starting this self-storage venture, and we're all doing everything all
Yep.
over again.
Yeah. What's beautiful is all the hard work we did over the past year to from where you said we started to where we are both right now. I already am envisioning that within our self-storage stuff is that there's going to be people on the team in the future that I don't even know what it looks like, but I know
Yeah.
that we're going to reach moments of pain and annoyances and all these different things that we're going to eventually delegate and automate. And we've done so much of that over the past year internally on our team to where in so many cases, as I sit here right now, like yes, my wife has became a certified top tier transaction coordinator underneath you, which is so freaking cool that she's allowed that opportunity to learn from you, like the best TC out there, which is you. She gets to learn from the best, and she gets to jump in the deep end right
Oh
away and
yeah.
get
Oh yeah.
exposed to all these different things that she has to go out and figure out. Like right now, I smiled because we got a problem in one of our deals that we were supposed to close here in like 15 days that's going to require her to do something she's never done and go find a new title company to potentially close a deal. And I smiled because I go, cool, now she gets to try a new problem and solve a new problem. But,
Yep.
as I sit here, when she came on, it was very clear from the beginning that her communication lines are to be through my partner, Chris. I'm not CC'd on any emails. I don't
Mhm.
even get CC'd on opening escrow emails. I want to be removed from that because that's not part of me. That's not part of what I'm doing. That's part of Chris's ambiance and everything there. And even to the point of like signed purchase contracts, I just see them in our text threads within our group now.
Right.
And it's so beautiful to systematically learn how to automate when it comes to calling, when it comes to automating. We're at a point now where we're automating purchase contracts
Oh,
and we're
so good.
automating our deal flow and all these different things. And then also we've delegated the management of the leads, so the follow-up, to not only our CRM systems, but also our people. So we actually have we have 5 people on our team that are doing the follow-ups. Uh, and then from there, I have a closer on my team that's doing 95% of the closings. So I step in and do a closing once a month, maybe if
Yeah.
needed, when it's complex. Like we have a deal right now where the gentleman is here in Chandler. He's going to do a cash out refinance into a new loan that 2 weeks
Mm,
later, we're going to take over sub two, but he needs $120,000 net out of it. And so he's going to have to leave some equity. So it's a little bit more complex than your typical vanilla rental or vanilla sub
sure.
twos. And so I'm coming in to be the architect of those things. Um, but a year ago, it was all on me, baby.
Well, and
And
this is
so
you just
crazy.
called you just called a sub-2 transaction vanilla.
I know. There you
Like,
go. Case in point right
like,
there.
that is how much we've grown, like,
Yeah.
and it's only been because we got beat so hard
Yeah.
that first 3, 4 months doing FHAs and VAs and
Oh my
HELOCs
God.
and down payment assistance and all of these different things to
Yeah.
now. I mean, I swear to you, I have TCs that come to me and they go, "I won't touch an FHA." I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah.
"Well, just the risk." And I'm like, "It's not your risk.
I go good. I go
It's your
whenever
it's your
someone
place."
says something to me is like, I'm not going to do that. I go good because I will. I talk about this as it relates to in the real estate standpoint. I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but
Mm,
you'll get the gist. Is that I um, I host a Zoom every Tuesday called Closers Cafe from 9 to
mm,
11 a.m. Within the sub two community. There's usually like 75 to 100 people every single day. Kind of cool. And we're making phone calls, calling agents, calling sellers and whatnot. And we've had some insane, we've done so many deals in it and met so many amazing people. I have people on my team that are like people who show up every single week, like the work is the filter kind of stuff.
yep.
I've talked to agents that I've then spoke to their entire brokerages about it because of the conversation of how it went. So many beautiful things. But, there's been times in there that I've implored to people, hey, what is everyone's like? I put a poll up and I go, look at this listing. Would you call this listing? And the listing is whatever the address is, but it says it's pending. And the vast majority, I want to say 85% on that poll said no. And 15% said yes, or like 10% said yes, 5% don't answer, whatever it is. And I go, why? And I go, thank you for not calling it, because you just reduced my competition. Because pending listings are a gold mine.
We know how often things fall out of
Oh
contract.
my gosh. Like there's so many ways: inspection, financing, appraisals. My wife doesn't like the color of the cabinets. And so what's funny is in the moment I called that listing. Okay. And she goes, yep, we feel pretty confident that it's going to close. 20 minutes later, within the same Zoom, I get a text with a screenshot from that agent that goes, I literally just got this text from our potential buyer that they have to have some massive reconstructive surgery and pay a ton out of pocket, and they have to cancel the deal. Do you want to look at it further? And I shared my screen on that text message and I go, here's why you call pending listings. And so it's like those little things
We've
is
had
that
people die
separate.
in escrow. We've had people die. Like I mean,
Yeah.
we have had so
So
many
I
things
love it. It's
happen.
like, if you're not willing to put the work in to do the little things, call the pending listings, TC a FHA deal, like push yourself beyond the level of resistance because you don't understand it, and go push into it. And you're going to come out on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, in our industry specifically, from the investor perspective, everything is mired in risk and different levels of risk, and we've talked about this before too. How at the end of the day, you as a wholesaler and me as you're not, so crazy. You're not really a wholesaler anymore,
No.
which is awesome. And I'm
What
not
am I?
really, and I'm not really a TC anymore, which is awesome. You're an entrepreneur. And
Oh,
I think that was the goal.
yeah.
But, now it's as those roles, as a wholesaler and as a TC, when we put those hats on, we're intermediaries. We provide opportunities for people that they can choose to take or not. And everyone is mired in different risks depending on 1,000 different variables,
Yep.
1,002, right? And at the end of the day, as long as the opportunities that we provide are done responsibly, effectively, efficiently, are legal, obviously, right? That we present a bowl of fruit. It's like a box of chocolates, Forrest Gump, and you get to choose what you want to eat. And
Yeah.
it's the same way in traditional real estate. It's the same freaking stuff. It's the same risk supply. I didn't know we were about to face a hurricane, and now my vacant warehouse that I was trying to rent out is going to be vacant for another year. Do I have enough money to hold that cost? Like that's a traditionally financed asset if you want it to be. It's the same thing. Life is
Yep.
full of risk, and we have taken so many risks over the last year and put ourselves out there. And I don't know about you, but to this day, I tell my team and I tell other TCs and I tell other people I coach and consult with, this is my take based on my experience. I'm not law. I'm not letter of the law. And you put two attorneys side by side, which I've done recently, and they will argue over why their take is their take, and they will argue with each other. So, you know, it's not about being a be all, know all subject matter expert. It's about being able to advise based on what you know and let people independent of you make independent big girl, big boy decisions, and
Yep.
supporting them in that. And, that's every single day, right? Decisions in and out, but the small business thing, the real estate thing, the risk thing. I mean, that has been our entire life over the last year, is trying to figure out how to make a transition from identifying as a wholesaler, identifying it pre that, to going, oh, wow, now I have a side hustle that's in real estate, to, oh, whoa, this side hustle is more like my life, to, oh my gosh, now I own multiple businesses doing this thing, to, oh my gosh, now I'm going to buy more businesses doing this thing. It's just been this crazy progression. And I'm really like, I'm so cheesy, but I'm really proud of us, because I mean, you had a brand new baby. I was pregnant. I had a really hard pregnancy. It was really, really fucking hard for me to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Like, I felt like dog shit every day. And there were pictures and reels of me online where my sister would call me and go, "You look rough. Like, do you need to be doing this right now?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And it was just like, I just showed up and you just showed up. And that's all we really did. We
Yeah.
showed
That's
up
it.
and we just didn't stop.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, but it's supposed to be hard. I want it to be hard.
Yeah.
There's moments, undoubtedly, for the viewer here, if you're endeavoring on this journey and doing the things that Daniela and I are seeking to achieve and accomplish and whatnot, or you have already done so, we know we align with you. We know what you've been through, and I can speak candidly here. Like, it was rough for my wife and I's marriage, so much in terms of balancing being the best father I can be in the moment when my mind is on 36 other things at any one time with these deals and various things that I'm trying to build, where I didn't really have a checkout process. Like, that door behind me was the second I opened up that door from me leaving this ecosystem here turned into switching off of this into dad mode. And I got to
Yeah.
be full tilt dad mode and the best I can be, and husband mode. And I struggled with that balance
Yeah.
because those times would be 7 p.m. I would literally sit here from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., like get up and get a lunch for here and eat at my desk kind of thing.
Yep.
And have a hard time in the evenings being a shell of myself. And that's unfair to my children. That's unfair to my wife and all those things. And I've had to navigate those things. And my wife is an amazing human that is grasping and understanding as a part of this, and seeing the fruits of the labor that we're putting in. And now she's very much a part of it. That's what
Huge.
better way to be validated of what I'm doing, that she believes in the journey, that she's aligning and vertically integrating what we're doing. Anyway, but in the journey, like, I can count on two hands nights that my wife has cried of. Also, she was pregnant. So there's those hormone things that you guys have that,
Yeah, but it's still though. I mean,
still the
I've had,
real, still real
like, it's
tears.
real.
And
Like, still
and so
sucks.
just bearing all those things and what she's going through, already parenting one kid and now pregnant with another. And so there's the levels of, like, detachment from the first one. Now that it's not a solo kid, now she has two, and her husband's just working a ton and working a full-time W-2 and working a full-time entrepreneurial thing and all these different things. And it is hard. It is very difficult to balance those things. And you just do it. You just figure it out. You find your balance. But now, as we sit here, I don't know if I can show this. My wife is calling. And what does it say right there when she calls?
It's TC Collective.
Pretty neat. So for me, we are on, like you said, like, I thought when you said we're on the other side, I feel like we were playing Frogger and we just got over to the one more lane. Like, we
Yeah,
made it
yeah,
past
yeah.
one set of cars, and now we're working for the next. We're just, like, doing this at all times for the next round.
Yeah.
And it's super exciting what we're doing. And I'm excited for you in your developments of her coming aboard to offload a lot of your work as it relates to your previous role and identity, to where now we're shifting gears and 10xing in one singular vehicle, which is self-storage. And it's cool because I feel like there's a level of the chapters are closing in certain aspects of our lives in certain ways. Slowly that page is flipping over,
Oh
and we're
yeah.
now focusing on these things where we're writing up LOIs. Like, I think today are mailing out our first offer on a self-storage facility in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taking the skill sets that we've earned. We've taken the skill sets that we've learned and the failures, the successes and everything, and moving it to a completely different pond that we're going to fish in when it comes to self-storage, and found our passion in this, and going to make that dream a reality, and base it upon all the habits, the standards, and the systems that you have ingrained into your brain and your heart, much like I do, that will allow us to succeed. It's not the dreams that are going to allow us to succeed. Like, we could sit here and talk about fairy tales all day long, but
Uh-uh.
it's, what are your habits every morning of waking up and doing the thing, or the standards? Like, I always relate this to going to the gym. Is like, everyone dreams of having that perfect body and the big muscles on the arms for the guys and all the little things. At least most do. Okay. But
Most do.
it's until you have the habit of getting up and going every morning or every night, whenever your flow of time is, and then having the standard that a six pack is the standard. Anything lower than that isn't the standard. And then having the systems, meaning you have the program, you have the workouts, you already know what you're going to do when you arrive at the gym. There is no guessing game. You have your systems that you set out your bag like I do every single night with my clothes for the next day by the front door. And I have everything squared away such that it makes it easier. There are no hurdles to go. And it's
Right.
just
No friction.
automated. And so like from that standpoint, I take those exact same principles, pull them out of here and apply it to everything else that I do. And it works. You just have to be patient and consistent on doing the same things and creating those systems and leveling up your systems along the way.
I will also say, like, systems and processes are key, right? And I work with a lot of folks that are super successful and over 100 units already, this, that, all these things going on. And their businesses are built on straw men. And it's worked up
Yeah.
until now,
Yep.
right? And they want to continue to grow. And it's almost like that painful thing of like rewinding, slowing down and
You
stopping
have to.
to build up something that can support something that's 3x what you're doing or 10x what you're doing. And that is just, there's no easy way around this. That's what has to happen. But
Yep.
in addition to that part, it's the people. It's the people. My partners, you, Chris, Heather, Rinda, we work like dogs, man. There has never been one day that I have ever heard an excuse from any of you um, because you're sick, because you're tired, because you had a bad day, because you just don't feel like it. It's like I'm buried in this, I'm buried in that. Like I'm sifting my way through this. It's always the excuse is always other work that has to be attended to, just higher priority work. It has to be attended to now. And I don't want to like convey this message that you have to be this workaholic or this work fiend or whatever it is. You can you can eat an elephant over 20 years, man, and it'd be fine. But what you do have to do is work with people that work like you, that respect the way you work, that respect what you need, that respect the fact that you're good at some stuff and you're terrible at others. And you also have to be accountable to yourself and have enough humility to admit what isn't working for you, having hard conversations with your partners. This whole thing is basically like anybody can do this, but you got to spill some blood.
Yep.
And you got it, whether it's with other people, whether it's experiences that you end up facing and how you get out of them. And this is not just in business. This is just life. It's there are just these themes in life of folks that, they face so much tragedy and hardship. And it's really hard for them to come out of that in a sustainable way. And there's stuff for folks where they just don't know what to do with their lives, or they feel lost, or they don't know what's next, and they live and they're mired by that feeling of just inability to move forward. And I want to emphasize, you don't have to be like Landon and I. You don't have to be wired just like us. That's not what this is. It's more so you enter a desert in hopes of reaching an oasis, and you just have to keep getting up and going. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. And I think, to your point of what you said, and I think it's such a great point because I too hear people still seeking and trying to find their vision and their path and their journey. And neither of us are sitting here and saying TC is the path. Becoming a transaction coordinator is the path, nor is wholesaling the path. I'll sit here right now and tell you within 2 years. I mean, not that I am wholesaling right now. It is our money making vehicle. However, I'm not doing a lot of the tasks of it. I'm involved in it, but I will say in 2 years, like I'm going to be completely removed from it and on to greener pastures, doing different things with other money making vehicles, which is self-storage facilities and maybe other small business acquisitions and management and hiring and raising capital and all these different skills that I've learned and picked up along the way that I'll be focusing on doing bigger and bigger things. But regardless of the vehicle that you choose, one thing that stuck out to me is that until I made the observation that I needed to develop personally, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the wholesaling or the TCing or the raising capital, but it's like I need to develop personally, intrinsically inside of me, that's going to allow my income to rise, and it's going to allow my other boats to rise, which is wholesaling, my Airbnbs and all those aspects of things to understand. And so those personal developments also happen at home too, as a father, as a husband, as all these different things. And it was until I started to really dive in and push into that more. And so more audiobooks, more learning to audit my life and delegate things out of my life and in certain things. It was until then that I realized, like, you could be the best wholesaler out there, but if you haven't developed and you haven't grown, you're going to stay right where you're at and do the
Yeah.
same thing. And many of that, a lot of people either burn out or quit or give up or never leave that identity, and they are a wholesaler for the rest of their lives, and that's all they do. I have no vision of that just being, this is a vehicle for me. Is
Oh,
it
yeah.
the best vehicle to get to where I'm going? Probably not. I probably could have jumped from here straight to self-storage, but the skills I've learned, who I've developed to personally, and the relationships I've introduced into my life, and all these different things are a testament and are a culmination of all of that I put together to get to this point. And so, that being said, for you, for anyone watching, like, focus on personally developing
Mhm.
and getting past those childhood demons you're battling and things and weaknesses that you have, and focusing on those moreover than trying to chase the dollar, because
The money will come.
the money will come.
The
The
money will
money will come.
come. Just like it's not about finding or focusing on how you're going to fund the deal. If it's a deal, the money's going to come. And so, but none of that matters if you didn't take the time to like bury your demons and your problems. Like I can't sit here and go, "Oh man, I'm not selling 50 million worth of commercial real estate. It's my mom's fault." Like I had to put that shit at the door, man.
We
Check
should
that shit
start
at the
saying
door.
that. We should start saying that. Yeah, my mom would love that. My mom watches these, and so she would
Did
love
you?
to hear a shout out.
Oh my god! Shout out to Landon's mom. It's not your
Shout
fault.
out.
My mom, I love you. It's not your fault. But we've all been through stuff in our life, and I could sit here and go, I mean, look, like coulda, shoulda, woulda, man. And the same thing for things that have inadvertently affected you in your life. Check it at the door because it's holding you back.
Well, then there's also too, regardless of fault, there's many things that happen because it's someone else's fault. But
Totally.
it's my responsibility on how I react and how I do certain things. And I'm at an age and a maturity level that at some point you have to take personal responsibility for your life and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, I think that age 18 to 20 range for, I think, a young adult male is that time, is that moment. I can't speak on females in terms of that whole thing. But for me, whether or not female male matters, I have no clue. But like for me, what I've
Probably
learned
not.
too in this year, in so many ways, the very first thing I ever do, in whatever it is, no matter what, I fail
Yeah.
immediately. And
But you
that's
accept
why I
that.
succeed.
You accept that
So
now.
my very first YouTube video, I think I produced it actually probably 1 year ago this month.
Wow. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
And when I first posted it, didn't know what I was doing. Had to create this thing called a thumbnail, figured out how to do that. Okay. Looked terrible. And then when I'm posting it, you go through the process of like uploading it, right? And all the little things you do. And at the end, they ask you a question. And the question is this video made for kids? And I sat there and my all inclusive mind goes, well, it's not for kids. And so I go, heck yeah. There was a button that said, literally, it didn't even say yes. It goes, heck yeah. So I clicked that and uploaded
Oh
it. And I'm like,
my god.
I got like no views. There's no likes. There's no comments. I'm like, not that I have a huge following, but then I learned from someone who's doing the thing, and they go, you got to unclick the for kids things. And I go, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
happens today. That happens right now. I made a decision here 3 months ago that I wanted to be the guy that posts 52 articles on LinkedIn. I made that decision because I go, I'm not doing anything on LinkedIn. I need to leverage that because there's a ton of
Totally.
people with high W-2 earners. That's a great place that no one's living there doing anything in our real
Yeah.
estate space. At least I see. Okay. So I go, I'm going to be the guy that pioneers it. I'm going to do it. Okay. There's confidence, ego, all the things.
Sure.
And so my brain, I'm stacking. I batch all these things together and I put together like 12 articles and I
Oh, good God.
schedule them to post every other Sunday or like every Sunday. So I have
Okay.
12 Sundays already stacked out and built out. And I'm like super
Of
jacked. I'm
course
like,
you
sweet,
do.
I'm already 3 months ahead. And now I can start building up for the future and like different things. I'm adding photos and whatnot. And I see a post on LinkedIn from someone that's in our mutual world. Her name is Amy Misnick.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Amy and you go onto her LinkedIn, she has like 50,000 followers. She gets
Mm-hmm.
30,000 likes a post and all these different things. So I'm like, girl, you done figured it out, right? Like you're
Ah,
doing a thing. And you know what she said to me?
what?
She goes, quit posting articles. It's a waste of time. Plus, two, I can see you're using AI to help you write it. The reader can see that. The algorithm can see
Boom.
that. It's a waste of your time. You're not doing anything. And I go, all right.
Boom.
But it took me to go out and try something and fail and get egg on my face to hear from someone who's the gangster at LinkedIn to know that I need to stop doing that, you
This
know?
is what's so okay. This right here. Like when you start to live and breathe and talk to nobody but other people that are like climbing that wall of self-development, the shit gets cut. And
Yeah.
someone's just gonna call you and go, bruv, this is not the way. Let me help you.
Yep.
Please, please let me help you. And I can't tell you how many times I've either pinpointed the person that I asked for help and I go, I have no idea what I'm doing, but this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Or I've had people reach out to me and go, maybe not like that. And this is why. We can't know everything about everything. And that's one thing that I've always sort of prided myself on. In my 20s, I had a group of friends who one of them was like really, really academic. And he goes, "You're an ethnographer." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Whatever you're interested in learning about, you become like obsessive, like all encompassing, like you know all the things about everything." And I was so flattered by that. And I recognized that that was such a like solid part of my character. And also that I recognized lately how much that was holding me back. I don't need to know everything about everything, man. That is holding you back in business. If you think you need to know every answer to every problem that'll possibly come up with an Airbnb or wholesaling or with TC or with whatever, like you are going to move at a snail's pace. It's never going to work. And the relief I felt when you became interested in self storage and Chris was super on board because I'm going, oh my God, like I've been wanting to get involved in self storage for so long. And I felt like I had to know everything. And I couldn't take that on in addition to all the other things I'm doing. And now we all have our lanes. I don't need to know. I don't need to
Yeah.
know to make this
Yeah.
right.
So true. I mean, I got a text. I got to that point. I got a text this morning from a mutual. I don't know if you know who she lives in Utah. Her name is Liz Schwab. High W2 earner, amazing
Familiar.
human. Her and I have such a great. She's my lone subscriber to my OnlyFans. That's her prowess of. I don't have an OnlyFans, but that was always our joke. Whenever I would see her at a Utah meetup, when I would travel up there, she goes, "How's the
Oh,
OnlyFans coming along?" And I'm like, "You would know. You subscribe, anyways." So she reached out to me and she goes, "Hey, do you own any properties, sub twos that have Freedom Mortgage as the lender?" And I go, "Yeah, I have two of them." Um, and the only reason I know that is because I remember seeing my visual brain saw the Freedom Mortgage logo on the
yeah,
mortgage
yeah,
statement for the homes, right?
yeah.
And then so she sends me this text that's like this long. That's all about like insurance transfer and renewals and this and that and
Mhm.
whatever. And she's like, "How did you go about doing this? And like, what did you do?" And I go, "I have no idea. I have people that do that for me." And so when that when those problems come up, like that was a huge thing for me too, of like learning who, not how, and learning how to delegate and learning how to not needing to understand every detail. Because mind you, I'm a trained problem solver. I have a degree that I paid a lot
You
of money
are.
to a university called Oregon State University. Some say the West Coast Harvard. Okay, that's what everyone's saying.
Oh
But
my God.
the I learned I'm a glorified problem solver. So meaning
Yeah,
whenever Caitlin has a problem, I have a moral obligation that I have to try and solve it. I don't allow her the opportunity to do it. It's a weakness and a strength because I can
that
solve
is a weak
complex
part. That's
problems.
definitely
So,
weakness.
like early on in our days, like we had problems with deals that you didn't know the answers to, and you're like freaking out on the phone, and I'm staying calm and I'm like figuring these things out. So I'm very good at those things. But it's also a weakness because I get like a dopamine kick whenever
From
Daniela has a
being
problem. I choose to solve it. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I learned that I can't solve all life's problems because it's a constant hamster wheel at all times. And I need to
Yep.
let Daniela or let Chris or let Caitlin solve problems that either they created or were created. And it's their role to solve those problems. So there's so
Yeah.
much of that because I would try and solve problems that would come up in transactions that are the role of a transaction coordinator that I'm paying for to do.
Yep.
And so
1,000%.
it is so hard to do that. That is the hardest thing for me to accomplish over this past year, but it's been so instrumental to allowing me to be more freeing in my mind that I've been carrying that weight.
This really brings me to our favorite virtual. I don't even, he's not even virtual. It's like the little Jiminy Cricket on our shoulders right now, Dan Martell. And this
Oh,
idea that you don't have to control everything.
yeah.
Because when you control everything, you are a part of everything. And there's no way for you to build yourself out of your business, to buy back your time. Like, we all decided to do this, not so that we would work 20 hours a day. We
No.
decided to do this for multiple reasons. And so we have these dopamine kicks. All entrepreneurs do when things are working, when you get to be the leader, when you get to be the coach, when you get to be the problem solver, when you're the one that closed the deal. Like, oh my God, the rush when you close a deal, when you fund a deal, whatever it is. And you have to let go of a lot of these things as you grow in business for your business to scale. Or you can, be like my dad, who has made a very conscientious decision not to scale. His biggest thing is, I have a business. I'm one man in a 16,000 square foot warehouse with no staff. And I know I can gross top end working hard 3 million a year. And his biggest goal is increasing his profit margin every year. How do I stay here and make my income grow? And he reached a point and he goes, this is enough. This is it. I don't want to work harder than this. This is fine with me. And that works too. But if you want to scale, you need people. My dad is about to leave for Europe, Landon. He's been wanting to take this trip for 20 years. And I said, Dad, who's going to be at the shop? He said, no one. I'm closing it. And I said, you're closing it for 2 weeks? We calculated down to the hour what his time was worth based on his income and how much he would lose by closing the shop for 2 weeks. It was shocking. But that's his choice. This is how he has chose to run his business. And because I've seen what he's had to go through and what he's had to sacrifice and what he's had to miss because he doesn't have people, because he's involved in every freaking thing, I have learned that I can't do business like that. I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids, 5 and under, man. Like, I can't not just be home with my kids when they're sick, right? So I have to have people. And
Yep.
so it's like all of this is just so freaking exploratory, man. Like, if you don't start, you won't know.
Yep.
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what Landon and I say.
So true. It's so true. And it's crazy. Like this goes, it's so, oh my gosh. Like your dad shutting down that office. That's just what he knows. Like
It's what he knows.
that's what's the problem? That's the solution.
Yep.
And for me, I'm so binary. I look at that and go, how can I help him solve that so he doesn't have to shut it? Me. I don't even know your father. I don't even know this business, know anything. And I'm sitting here thinking of solutions of how we can keep it open for the sake of just keeping it open. And it's just a weakness of mine. Like I just
Yeah.
always am solving problems at all times.
But,
And
but it's a beautiful, generous part of your character. But, goes back to that conversation about being around people that are going to tell you the truth because you're trying to accomplish the same things you are. It's also a big weakness,
yeah,
right? And it's like
totally.
that is something we can share with one another without going, oh my God, Danielle, I think that's a weakness of mine. Like, it's not about that, right? It's about the fact that we are brutally accountable for who we are. And it is not always fun, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
not, I mean, like, I've had calls with you before and you haven't said this mean. And I know that this has been sometimes even a joke where it's like, something about like, sounds like a you problem, or don't make your problems my problem. Right? But it's so true. It's like, lock it up. We got shit to do, and it's okay. Like, that is the truth. And I've learned that it's okay to call and vent and have vent conversations as friends. And it's okay to call and go, I'm having a problem right now in my business, but we also have to be respectful of each other's time. Like, you're my friend, you're my colleague, you're my partner. You were in my employer for a little while there, a long while. And it's like, we have such black and white buckets for time. And we're going, okay, hard left, transactions, hard right, self storage, double hard right, personal life. You good? You healthy? Kids okay?
So true. It all just blends. It's all just an integration to everything.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. We're not perfect.
No.
I mean, there was a time where we had a joke where you would pick up the phone no more than one dial every single
So bad.
time.
That
And
is a
now
weakness.
I literally sit on the phone. Caitlin and I last night are driving to a meetup, and I had a question I needed to ask you. I ended up sending you a voice memo. Should have done that in the first place because it was 5 o'clock. That's total chaos hour, and so I get that as a parent. But decided for some reason decided to call you. I think as Caitlin was in the car, and on the phone call, it rings once, and I start counting the dials. And
Oh my
I
God.
did it because it was moreover comedic for when you answered. I was going to say seven dials it took you, but it's just a testament too of how busy you are and what you're doing and whatnot. And I'm not special. Like, it's more of a joke because you became so instrumental in my life in terms of what we are doing to allow me to have the certain level of success that I'm having. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you over the past year. And it's pretty cool to
Same.
say that.
Same.
And, and it's cool to know that over the next year, I think that's going to even be more exponentialized through your experiences pre real estate, pre us meeting, pre everything that you've done, and vice versa with me. And you've never seen me in the space of our short term rentals. You probably don't even know what the properties look
True.
like, how I automate, how I manage from a day to day operation standpoint,
Yes.
as that's going to transfer over to our self storage operations and those things. And then also, too, I know you don't know anything about this because I'm the dude wearing the skinny pants now, but I'm just a blue collar kid from Central Oregon. Like, when it comes to laying gravel, when it comes to pouring concrete bollards and all those little things, like, that's my childhood. That's me, not
Which
the guy
is
in
no,
Scottsdale
I'm
wearing
like,
white
yeah.
shoes.
Like, it's so cool. Like, all of these shared experiences, and that responsivity is one of my biggest weaknesses.
Mm,
Like, you want to help and solve problems. I want to go, I'm right here. How can I help you? Let's get this done.
yeah.
And it's hard for me to go, I don't have to answer right now.
Nope.
It's really hard. And so it's crazy. Like, absolutely. Our
I got a text yesterday. Like, literally, I'm trying to be more intentional about this because I'm very much responsive of, I get texts that say, "Hey, you got a few minutes?" And I see that
Oh no,
text.
it's never a few minutes, man.
I
It's
see
never.
that text and my heart goes, I want to help this person,
I know. I know.
you know?
It's been
Oh,
super, super, super hard for me recently to go, you are important to me. I want to help you. I want to answer your questions, but I need you to go to my website and book a consult. It makes me want to puke.
it
Saying
does.
that to somebody makes me want to die.
Yep,
I
you're
just want to.
selling them a 97 Honda Civic. You're a car salesman. You're all of a sudden
Oh
a car
my
salesman.
God, it's so
Yeah.
gross, man. But at the same time, if I don't protect my time, and I've done this before with these time audits, I'm going, I'm complaining because I'm barely making ends meet right now, but I'm doing a bunch of non-money making activities. I have to protect my time,
Yep.
and that's another like gnarly part of business growth and just accountability, being so accountable to what you want to do, what you have to do. And I remember like earlier this year, I had to quit that full time job. I was having a horrible experience with my boss. I was like dealing with harassment issues and it was awful. And I quit. And for this, the first time in my life I've ever been that broke since I was in my early 20s. I've
Awesome.
never been that uncomfortable in my life. And I'm still like just barely climbing out of feeling financially uncomfortable. And without doing the things I didn't really want to do, this would have never worked.
Right.
I have had to do nothing but eat crow over the last 2 years after reaching a pinnacle in my freaking career. Like, closing the year, I made the most money of my life, back to making the least amount of money I've ever made in my life, and just going, I'm not going to complain about this. I'm just going to figure it out. And
Yep.
you have been an instrumental part of that for me, and just like not giving up and just making it work. And owning my time and doing money making activities and figuring it out and putting myself out there and being brave and just like coaching me and cheering me along the whole way. And so it's just been so cool, Landon. It's been really freaking cool. I'm super excited to see what's going to go down in 2025. And I'm just grateful for your friendship and all everything. It's been really
Well, I
awesome.
appreciate those kind words. I mean, I genuinely do, and it's reciprocated 10x. But I do remember here a week ago, I did text you. I responded to one of your stories, and I told you you should quit. You should give up, and it's time. And I love sending that text to you because I know the response that it gives you, that's not even a question, not even a
No.
consideration or whatsoever. And it's just a reminder, almost like instinctually, that when you read that of like, I need to work harder. I need
Oh
to,
yeah. And it
not that
makes
you were
me laugh.
complaining, but
It
just,
brings levity to the situation where I laugh and I'm like, let's go.
yep. Yep.
Like, let's go, let's
But
go,
what's
let's
cool
go.
is like, let's reflect back. So like, I think about over the past year, built a wholesale operation. I've done, coming up on it, depending on how many of these we close here this month, will be teetering on 80 creative transactions over the course, and
Yeah.
own a portfolio of rentals, long-term, short-term, midterm, and sober living. Spent an entire summer up in Montana and Oregon with my family. That was a dream of mine 3 years ago. Got to do that.
Right.
Started a podcast with you. Embarking on a self-storage acquisition thing of this like monstrosity that I'm looking at $3 million facilities and going, I should buy this, and I can buy this, I can afford this, we can buy these things, knowing the strategies that makes it happen. My wife becoming a certified top tier transaction coordinator, and buying in and validating everything that we're doing and working towards those things, having 2 children in the whole process. Leveling up here recently, we didn't even talk about this, is that I'm now working a brand new W-2 engineering
You
job.
are.
I got a
You are.
$23,000 a year annual salary pay raise.
Yeah.
And so all of these things, it's crazy because when you boil it down to that last 2 minutes of what I just said, it goes by like that.
Oh
But
yeah.
that took a year to like piece together, and
Yeah,
all
that
those
took
little
that,
things.
that took longer than that though, because it was all the personal self-development that happened before that, all the
Oh my gosh, yes.
education, all of like the crash and burns. And that's what people hear, that 2 minute thing, and they go, oh, and it's like, no, man. Oh my God. Yes, those things are great. But what was better is you having to eat crow, learning how to make those things happen.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
I
we
still
should start
feel,
telling the stories about how we've had deals cancel on the 29th day of escrow. We've had
oh
title
my God.
companies. We've had frozen pipes. We've had canceled contracts. I've so many middle fingers. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
So many.
It's
You don't
been
even see those.
It's been an adventure for sure, but honestly, it's just started.
Yeah, it really has. That's just it too. It's like, think about it. We've only been doing it for a year.
Yeah, which is wild. And I've always said to people when they're going through a tough time, like, 6 months. Let's talk in 6 months. A
Yeah.
lot changes in 6 months. A year, we've just practically reinvented ourselves. So I'm giving this call to action to the audience. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be in a year? And what are you going to do to make yourself get there? What are you willing to eat, sacrifice, push off the table? Everybody can do what we're doing. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry can do this.
Yep.
But the question is, do you want to? And what are you going to do to get there? I want to hear from you guys. I want you guys to comment. I want to, don't be shy. We've spilling our guts here, man. So jump on in and let's just push this train up. Let's push this train forward together. Rising tide lifts all boats.
Nailed it.
So, well, Landon, I feel like we need a follow-up episode just to talk about our favorite files of the year, our favorite deals of the year.
Oh, we should totally do that.
That'd be so fun. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we're deeply appreciative that you're along on this ride with us.
Yep. Thank you. See y'all.
Take care.